All right, and we're in. How you doing today, Cher?
Good.
Oh, it's great to finally have you in the podcast. We've had this in the books for months, and we're actually finally making it happen.
Yeah, I know.
It's always great. So where are we where are we headed today with this talk? What's going to be our focus? I mean, apart from just you and living in magical Southern California,
Let's just get real about women's health, hormones, weight. Yeah.
all of the above. Maybe we can just take a step back because, if we're going to get into women's health and we're going to get into your work and your clinic and everything like that, maybe we can just figure out a little bit about you and where you're from and how you got into this space.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
go.
Okay. So where are you from?
Born and raised in LA. Glendale. I don't know if you're familiar, grew up by the mall. So mall rat as a kid.
Okay. Very nice. You are a rare breed because I would say like probably 90% of the people on the podcast were not born and raised in LA, right? Because everyone's come from all over the country to chase some kind of dream or just chase the sun. So it's been great. So you're born and raised in LA, and what was young life like apart from being a mall rat?
It was interesting. So first generation American, Filipino parents. Um, Only child for a while till I was 7. Every birthday wish was like, I wish for a brother, sister, and then my parents brought in some foster siblings.
Okay. You weren't wishing for puppies, you were just wishing for siblings.
Yeah, it gets lonely. I don't know.
That's interesting. Actually, the more women specifically I speak to on the podcast, more of them only they grew up in like two or three sibling homes, and they themselves are only having like one child. And I'm just wondering, like, obviously the cost of raising a child these days is massive, and the energy and time it takes to raise children is massive because both parents have to work. Like, it's not back like 40 years ago when you could like buy a house and have a whole family on one income. So those days are gone. But I'm just wondering, like, what are all these kids who have been born in the last like 10 years going to be like that are growing up with like no siblings?
Ooh,
Do you think they're all wishing for siblings like you did, like, when you were young?
yeah. I've actually heard about that. But luckily, I don't know, the parents these days are a lot more emotionally invested. So that plays a role. So emotional social health is more of a priority than maybe it was back then.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even go to preschool. These days there are play dates, baby gyms. Yeah.
All of the above.
Mhm.
So you were 7 and your parents brought in some foster siblings. So did that solve the loneliness issue? Like you finally had some people around to play with, to hang out with, to maybe an older sibling to mentor or something like that?
Yeah, most were pretty young. And for the first couple years, it was actually pretty fun. But, eventually the kids would go back to their families after, like, 2, 3 years, as the parents kind of stabilized themselves, and I think that took an emotional toll on my parents and myself, because over the years, we ended up having 49 foster kids.
Holy cow, that's like a small business. That's a lot of people coming through the house.
Yep. Yeah, my parents adopted the last 4,
Mhm.
so that was a really unique journey that I think most people don't know about me as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you wanna get into it? I mean, like, that's because I mean, that's just surprise like 49 foster children, like, I mean, your parents had a lot of love to give. That's a lot.
They had a lot of love in the beginning, but I think when you're heartbroken multiple times, you fall in love with these kids and then they leave. I think for my parents, their hearts turned a little cold.
Mm.
Um, and it was just a unique kind of stressor over the years. And yeah, some trauma in there,
Yeah, I bet.
all around. So.
That's a lot of different, like, personalities to have to deal with over the course of a decade or 2, like 40 plus people coming through the house.
Yeah, especially during formative years.
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking 7, 8, 9, 10, then like preteens and a teenager. And you have all my friends asking, who are these kids? Are they your siblings? I mean, and I wasn't really equipped on how to answer that or why they were here. And then as a kid, you witness like visitations, and maybe the parents were a little off, or like, I don't know, recovering from drugs, or kids coming in with, like, abuse or knowing about sex at such an early age. Yeah. A lot that I witnessed, but only processed alone without too much guidance, I would say.
That would have been difficult because you would have been exposed to so many new things and no one was there to maybe take the time to really explain it to you.
Yeah, and then I'm taking, like, deep breaths. Then you wanna throw in that my parents became abusive, um, towards the kids, so that was another level of seeing different things, and then, being told to tell the social worker that everything's fine.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, those are complex, formative years for sure, no doubt. And did you I mean, what so you kinda got through high school? I mean, by the time you graduated from high school, how many foster siblings were kind of around and in the house with you at that stage?
Let's see. Middle of high school, I fell in love with this one kid. His name was Austin. Parents' mom seemed to abandon him, the sweetest soul. And I remember thinking, I would love to adopt him or like keep him in the house. But I knew my parents were so toxic at that point that I had to, like, say no, and that was, like, the most heartbreaking, like, breakup, because I was, like, half mom, half sister. So then the siblings that came after, my parents did adopt. Okay. And by that point, I was a teenager, I don't know, focused on boys, and I also had a heart that maybe, like, got a little cool. I wasn't as warm. You fall in love, you get heartbroken, you kind of get used to it, so you don't really, like, get attached anymore.
Yeah. That would be strange, like, to have that many interpersonal relationships, siblings, foster siblings, whatever, and then have so many people, like, coming into your life, building real deep connections, and then having them leave again. Like, most of us don't go through that at an early age unless we're, like, moving schools every year, and we build friends for a year, and then we move on and have to start again, like some, military families or, families with traveling sales parents.
Yeah, I was parentified at a very young age, and then eventually I became an advocate. Um, I don't know, at school you're taught, like, treat everyone equally, and I think at some point I knew that, like, it was really bad, so, eventually got to the point where I would take the kids away. I mean, my parents and I kind of, like, acted like a divorced couple. Like, I would take the kids every Saturday after I moved out. Um, yeah, I got to the level where I even faced against them in court.
Oh, wow.
My now husband and I took in the siblings at different times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a complex way to grow up. That's no joke.
Yeah, there was one point where I fought hard and called dozens of attorneys, child advocate organizations, even international ones, because my parents took my siblings to the Philippines.
Oh,
Um,
that seems like it's not allowed, right? You're not allowed to, like, leave the country with foster siblings, are you? Or are you? Or what's the rule there?
well, at this point, they're adopted.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of, facing the social workers over and over, like, oh, let me just take the kids out of the country, much easier to get away with some stuff.
Wow. That sounds crazy. I mean, like, what drove your parents to wanna do something like that? Like, to have all these kids around and have them all coming through? I mean, was it like a religious thing? Was it coming through the church? Was it just I'm just we can pass over if you want.
No, this is wild, right? I've never really shared this stuff on a podcast. I mean, financial gain. You get used to a certain lifestyle. We lived in a big house, 4 bedrooms. Um, so yeah, you do get some money.
Oh, so you get paid to take in the children.
Well, with foster kids, yeah.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, the payments stop after like when they get adopted. I think at that point, my dad didn't want to adopt the kids, but my mom really did.
So sorry, so the foster kids come and stay with you, and during that time, you would get some money for the for to manage them or to take care of them, and then during that time, other foster parents would be coming in to see if they want to adopt them?
Sometimes,
Okay.
yeah, if it got to the point where the parents wouldn't be able to stabilize their home life financially, all of that.
So initially, it was temporary.
Oh, yeah, that's what the foundation is of foster care, to try to give the biological parents a chance or like a relative a chance to help or take care of the kids. They need food, shelter, water, schooling, you know.
I didn't know any of that. This whole world is completely bizarre to me. So, okay, so the parents get taken away from their biological parents. They come and stay with you and your family for a time, and then there's some financial compensation for you and your family to take care of them and give them a normal life or a stable life. And then at a time when someone else decides they have the chance to maybe go back to their original families.
Mhm.
Oh, so it's like a little timeout.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe the biological parents are struggling financially, they don't have a home, they have a drug issue, um, maybe some like abuse. So they go get their help, rehab, and prove and show that they have like, they can provide for the kids. And that's what the social workers are for. They check all around, make sure everyone's compliant, and then often, like, yeah, the kids are ready to go back to their parents. Sometimes kids go in and out of the system, unfortunately. Sometimes the parents are, like, set. Yeah, but, if the parents can't get back into, a good stable position, then the kids are up for adoption.
Okay. Interesting. I am totally ignorant about that. I just thought that children whose parents couldn't take care of them who are under the age of 18 ended up in foster homes, which I've heard before, but I didn't actually think it was like a real home of a family. I thought it was like a government institution, like a boarding school or something like that, like, where everyone's a foster or, a child without a parent or something like that. And then they would stay in a orphanage is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, so those are now known as group homes.
Okay.
Um, you know, they try to avoid that. I think the system tries to avoid them and put them in, like, a home environment with, like, some parents, give a sense of normalcy.
Interesting. Wow, this is an education for me. Thank you for being so open with that. That's wild. So once you moved out, um, it seemed like you still had a pretty strong relationship with your foster siblings or the people that were living with you at that time, and you wanted to bring them with you.
Yeah, I just wanted my parents to just be better. Be better parents.
I think we've all been there somehow.
Yeah, right?
But I think yours was maybe a little bit more extreme because there were a lot of other people involved.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely uncharted territory. So yeah, that's when I think it became like a divorced parent situation. I would pick them up every Sunday. Let's go to church. Let's go to the park, ice cream, whatever. And then one by one, little by little, some of the kids, I mean, there's a lot of trauma and some attachment with my parents. You can't blame that. But at different points, some of my siblings would want to leave. And they working the system, the kids have to say what is wrong. But if the kids lie and say everything is okay, your hands are tied and the kid stays in their current situation. So one sister, I think a teacher told reported her, and my sister at the time uh confessed what was going on, and she was the first sibling that I took in for a small period.
Okay. Wow. And you took your parents to court at one stage because of all of this as well?
Yeah, so there's a children's court. It happens with like a lot. uh yeah, there's a children's court here in Monterey Park. Yeah, not a comfortable situation.
Yeah. So if you're under the age of 18, you can sue your parents or divorce your parents or become independent from your parents. Is that what you did, or were you over the age of 18 already by that stage?
Oh, no, I was over 18 now.
Okay.
Now I was, like, 20, um, working, got my own place. No, it was through the system. So when a child gets taken away from the parents, um, that's when it can lead to, like, children's court, especially if caretakers are maybe in conflict and trying to obtain custody.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. It seems really messy. Like just so many different conflicts of interest, like biological parents, foster siblings, all like trying to help out, trying to have influence, trying to, I don't know, spend time with the kids. It's like it, it's seems complicated.
Yep, yeah, uh, definitely complicated. It's not like I had a sibling who I could process this with. I mean, all of this was on me. I carried a big load.
Mm.
And yeah, like my parents were my parents. I was especially close to my dad. Actually, I hadn't seen my parents in over a decade, and I just saw them like a couple months ago for the first time.
How was that?
I had a relative smuggle my kids to meet them at like a wedding event, but it was fine.
Mhm.
Um, I processed a lot with like therapy. I have my own kids, my own family, my own thing going on. Um, yeah, it was cordial.
Mhm.
That's it.
Wow, a decade with no communication at all.
Correct. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I think my main thing that I hung on to was I never want my kids to say I kept their grandparents from them. At least I can say, you know what, you met them, they carried you, whatever.
Yeah. That's good. And then give them the choice to build relationships or not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one of those where like, oh, you never let me, I'll never know them, and then could be a whole rebellious thing.
Mhm. So, I mean, where did you go professionally, in your 20s from having this kind of upbringing and things like that? Like what kind of work were you gravitating towards?
Oh, let's see. I started off in nursing school for a while. Um, so I did what my mom told me to do. I don't know. I followed along, followed the rules. So I was in nursing school. She also made me go to real estate school and like medical coding at the time. So I did all this. And then I rebelled like crazy and I skipped my nursing boards. I had like 9 more months to go. Um, and then with the medical coding piece, I actually picked up on that. And at that time, it made pretty easy money without a degree. Like I was making more than some of my like college educated friends. And yeah, went down that route. Eventually that evolved into um healthcare compliance, operations, education on the back end, because that's how you can prevent fraud. So it's really deep on the business side of healthcare.
Mm. And then how long did it take for you to decide like to set up your own clinic or to make this your own kind of business?
Ooh, 18 years. So I hopped around a lot in the healthcare field, eating disorder treatment centers, cancer centers, all kinds of like different kinds of hospitals, medical providers. Yeah. Um,
Were you providing care to the people in any of these facilities, or were you going in and just dealing with the business elements of it?
no, just the business side. So there were some jobs where I trained hundreds of physicians on how to maximize profit or how to work the system. Yeah.
Well,
So some education, work with like CEOs, board members, just how to like a lot in compliance. So how can we toe the line and maximize profit?
mhm. The healthcare system in Cali so, by the way, I've only lived in the United States for, like, 2 years, and, kinda lived all around the world, like, I was in China for 18 years, I was in the Middle East for a few years, I was in Switzerland for a few years, so coming to the United States has been a wild ride because the way everything is done here is totally different and not always better, but, the healthcare system seems to be particularly messed up, and I was just wondering, like, in your 18 years of dealing with compliance and maximizing profit if you came across just anything that was beyond crazy in that space?
Ooh, I have so many stories. Um, yeah. Okay, how can I be politically correct? No.
Yeah, and or if you signed any NDAs, obviously not to go against any of those.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Um, I mean, I can go on the extreme. I once had the OIG, Office of Inspector General. They're part of the DOJ, the Department of Justice, in my house once during an investigation.
Oh, wow.
Uh, but no, the healthcare system. I will say, I think there's a time and place for medical providers. I respect the doctors that I've worked with, um, their education. I totally get that. But you hear the word treatment a lot versus healing,
Mm.
and things don't always go to the root cause. It's very big pharma heavy. Usually the plan of care is more for just maintenance or let's alleviate the system without too much investigation. So, yeah, being where I'm at now, it's just there's a huge gap when it comes to like gut health, healing, women's health, especially as around hormones.
Mhm.
So that's what I've seen. Yeah.
And so that 18 years experience kind of showed you that there's an opportunity to do more specifically around women's health and especially around like holistic treatment, right? Which is also one of your specialties.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Mhm.
I mean, having a kid wrecked me. My son is 3 years old. So that's what made me like really shift gears. So I think stemming from like my history with the foster kids, I mean, I became like an advocate, like a hardcore headstrong advocate at a young age, fighting for like the underserved and those who need it. So after having my kid, and I had an ego. Like, I shouldn't feel like this. I'm going to, go to my masseuse, my chiropractor, like, hit up all my medical providers, and I'm going to feel better after having a kid. So when I didn't, despite all my tricks, I went to, like, all my mom friends, like, "What is going on?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, we've all been there. You just deal with it, be quiet, like, tolerate it." And I'm like, "This is BS, like, truly. I cannot live like this." I felt so out of whack. And yeah, that's when I kinda discovered that there was something else that we can do about women's health because this is absurd.
So can you, I mean, can you walk me through some of this? Because obviously I'm the wrong gender to I don't even know if you're allowed to say that anymore. But the point is like childbirth is not something that I'll ever experience. So I'm curious, like, you have a child and you get through childbirth, which is already an amazing thing. And then you want to get back your normal life, right? Which I guess is what everyone wants. So how do you do that? Like, how do you get back to feeling like your pre-pregnant self? Is that even possible?
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I am better now than I was, like, after my first kid. I mean, it is totally doable. It's just not widely known. Unfortunately, like, certain symptoms are normalized, and in this society, you've been in Asia. Certain countries in Asia, the moms are told to stay in bed for a full month and recover. You just had a baby. Your body needs to recover. In this country, we're pressured to go back to work, take care of the kids, take care of the house. There's no like familial help. This is we're very individualized here.
Very isolating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, add the pressure of like, you need to look good, you need to take care of this, be a good mom, and like also all the parenting pressures, like sleep and all of that builds up. So that excess stress throws our bodies even into like, um, into more imbalance, really. Versus if we recovered after having a kid, like let our body heal. I mean, imagine your uterus being ripped apart and then like, oh, you need to go wash the dishes and like do laundry and do all that. Um here. So basically, I see like a timeline when I see my clients. Some of their issues start like right when they have kids. That healing process. There's a real thing like postnatal depletion. That is something that if you don't take care of your body after having a kid and you have all the stresses that the society has, then your body can pay for it later and things just don't get better. So, from a chemical standpoint, we need to balance certain key hormones to get you feeling back to your old self. And that can't be done if you're in a chronically inflamed, stressed out state.
So how does a woman who's just had a child find that balance again? Like you mentioned hormones play a role. Like how important is exercise? How important is diet? How important is your environment? Like having a supportive partner or having family help around? Like I'm just trying to think of what what a woman needs to recover in the right way or in the fastest possible way.
Yeah. I mean, I can use myself as an example. Therapy, couples therapy, your support system, familial help, asking for help. Please just ask for help. This whole DIY, like, it's not, I don't believe it's a badge of honor. Take all the help you can get. But what I've seen is that we can do so much to exercise our cognitive health, but if internally we're not balanced, that's where like one of the biggest issues are. So yes, food is important. Build up on your protein, so much. Your body needs to heal itself. Um, but that's where other help like natural supplementation, lifestyle coaching, another level of like giving you more nutrients that your body needs that may be missing from the foods that you're eating. Or maybe your body needs more, especially if you've breastfed. I breastfed for 18, no, 20 months with that kid. So, yeah, your body needs a lot of nourishment, whether that's mentally, emotionally, or physically.
That's a lot to have to go through. Like, you're right. This is like the United States has this like real do it yourself kind of culture where you kind of appear weak or uh if you ask for help or if or if you need assistance in any way, shape, or form, but you're saying that's the wrong way to go. You need to ask for help. You need to ask for guidance. You need to ask for tips and tricks on how to replenish your body and heal your body in a meaningful way.
Totally. Listen, I mean, I compare it a lot to like cars. We get an oil change every 3 months, check the tires, do all that. And like, if you think about your gut, when was the last time you had an oil change? If you've had like 20 years of processed foods, toxins in the air, all of this going on. And yeah, let's give your body an oil change. It's long overdue.
So your desire to go into this field of work was really based on you having your first child? Is that what kind of like triggered this idea like, wow, like women need more information, more guidance, more support through this process than they're currently getting? Is that kind of the gist of how you kind of transferred into this space?
Absolutely. The injustice really made me upset. There are times I'll meet clients like for the first time and I'll get upset. um,
Tell me about the injustice. I don't understand the injustice.
oh my gosh.
'Cause, like, you and your spouse decide to have a child, and 9 months go by, and then you have a child, and then you raise the child, but like, all of the chaos that happens in the buildup in those 9 months, and then the year or 2 afterwards, like, it must be just absolutely insane. Like, I haven't had children myself. I don't have a spouse that had, children or anything like that, like, so this is kind of like new territory for me. So tell me more about the injustice.
Ooh, well, you're a smart guy for going down that route. Uh, all right. Let's look at the healthcare system. I had so many appointments leading up to my birth. Um, and I got taken care of. Like, while I'm carrying the baby, let's make sure everything is okay. So there was so much focus on me carrying a healthy child into this world. And then, bam, baby comes out. Where are my doctor's visits? Where is the help now? I think I got two. And I had to ask, what do I do? What do I do now? And she looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not There's so much education around, like, how to take care of a baby, how to sleep train, what bottles to give, what kind of milk, breastfeeding. You're pressured to breastfeed so much, but there's no widespread knowledge on, like, the difficulty and the cost of, having a child, on your body, and the lack of whether it be medical support or familial, social support. Yeah, things are just not out in the open. So here you are, you're getting maybe 4 hours of sleep a night, you're pressured to breastfeed, and it can be hard to like get the milk out when you're stressed out. So that hormonal component, you're stressed out, high cortisol. Oh, I can't make milk. Oh, I'm a bad mom.
I see it starting to build up, yeah.
And then your kid is feeding off of your energy. You're stressed out, crying. Oh, but like these books and social media say that like the baby should be sleep trained, have X amount, weigh this much. There's all this pressure, um, like with the standard of like having kids, that any little thing could turn you into a bad mom.
And the current state of the medical system does nothing really to help a mother along in those first few critical months where you're trying to learn how to do everything to keep this child alive.
Yeah, I remember taking a parenting class. I think it was 1 or 2 hours, but it didn't give like the honest truth, the honest, ugly truth. Um, and again, like I love, for the record, I love my hospital team, like my medical team before giving birth, but I felt like a lot of appointments were missing afterwards. And there was all this stuff that no one tells you. It's hard to like have a baby. It's hard to like clean up, like all the poop, all the cleanup. I mean, you go as a woman from being your hot self, getting married, let's like all of that to now you're just, a small percentage of what you used to be, and then throw in all these, like, beauty standards, get your body back. I mean, the stresses are enormous on, like, being a modern woman, especially if you have a career and a job.
Mm. That is incredibly stressful. I can't imagine trying to raise a newborn, get your body back, and still, like, keep a toe in what's going on at the office or something like that. Like, that would just be unbelievably stressful, and sleeping, like, 4 hours a night. That sounds like absolute misery.
Yeah. You are a shell of yourself. I mean, it changes who you are.
Yeah. And I mean, and what are the resources that are currently available for women going through this? Like, I know there's countless books. I've seen them in bookshops. Like there's walls of books. There's social media. There's people on YouTube telling you how great it's going to be and how transformative it's going to be. But I feel like a lot of the stuff I see on social media, and I'm not exactly the exact demographic that gets this kind of stuff coming at it, but the stuff I do see, it's all like super positive and like all like la di da, like everything's going to be great, and I can't imagine that's the actual truth. So where does a woman who has a newborn child go to actually figure out what to do and what the truth of how this is actually going to play out?
I think Reddit was the most honest place for me.
That's crazy that you had to go to Reddit to figure out how to raise a child.
I mean, I learned all the other stuff, like, from mommy forums,
Mm.
like, mommy friends. And it's very, like, kid-focused. Do this with your kid, give them this. But it's not really, like, woman-focused or parent-focused. Like, let's take care of ourselves. This is what to expect. This is how crazy you're gonna get. This is what's happening with your hormones at this time.
It's almost like the mother's an afterthought, right? It's like, "Oh, you had this kid, this is how you take care of the kid," and then it's like, "Well, you're done, forget it," right? Like, what like, but you still have years of raising the child and also wanting to live your own life. I mean, how does that work?
Oh my gosh. Again, like, I had 30 visits when I was pregnant, and I think I had 2 postpartum visits at the doctor's,
Mhm.
2.
Did you feel abandoned by that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they're looking at me like I'm crazy, yeah. Um,
But so many women must not have any idea what to do after they give birth. Like, this child comes out of you, you've done 30 doctor visits, you've done some prenatal classes, you've learned how to give childbirth, but then it's like, how do you actually raise a child by yourself? Like, that's a huge amount of pressure.
Lucky if you have a village. Obviously, I wasn't connected with my village.
Yeah.
I mean, I I talked to, like, my husband's aunts. I got some stuff there. Eventually, I had to build my own community, and I am the one kind of a disruptor. I go in just, like, asking, like, "How are you feeling?" Like, "What's your sex life like?" "How are you with your husband? What's he like?" Yeah, you just have to, like, extract the answers and extract, like, the ugly truths so that we can start talking about these things and really prioritize our own self-care as mothers. And I think that links to, like, my business. You know, the more we fill up your cup as a woman, the better centered you are, the better balanced you are. Guess what? The people you care about, they're gonna benefit. Like, I had a husband come in like, "Dude, my wife's mood swings are gone. Like, here's my card."
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it seems like the mother through the childbirth process anyways, like the mother is kind of like an afterthought. But actually if the mother's not happy and healthy, then the child's probably not gonna be happy and healthy, and the rest of the family is probably not gonna be happy or healthy. Like, it all depends on the quality of life for the mother and being able to live happily, to share that love with everyone else around them, and if they're miserable, then that just transcends the whole into the whole family, like, it's terrible if that plays out in a negative way.
You are hitting on a very, very common, pattern that I'm seeing. I think parents, moms, their hearts are in the right place, and I think that's why they're always prioritizing the kid. I have to take them to school, I have to, like, do this for them. So they're, like, loving their kid, and the kid is, like, cared for, but the trajectory of this just worsens over time. So even though, like, the kids are healthy, husband is fine, the cost and the buildup on the woman's body, like, it really wreaks havoc, especially as we get into menopause. So the 50, 60-year-old, time, yeah, it's another fun stage for a woman.
That sounds tough. We'll get into that in a bit, though. So you went through you went through your first, childbirth, and you were so kind of upset with the support that you got that you were like, "Wow, I'm gonna build a business around supporting women better." Is that kind of how you came into this space?
Kind of. So I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm like, "Oh, let me start a business so that I can spend more time with my kid," and I discovered the franchise BeBalanced. So this is actually a franchise, started in Pennsylvania. There's nothing here in LA like it. Like, all right, let's look into this. Let's see what's going on here. It's a different kind of approach, different animal. And then yeah, once I talked to the other owners, got a feel, they're like, "Oh my gosh, what this does to your body is so crazy." I tried it, my husband tried it. Oh my gosh. It really changed our relationship. I think it even helped save our marriage.
So this Be Balanced, this is like a clinic, or is it like a multi-step program? Like what do people get if they wanna join or sign on?
Yeah, we're a wellness center. We're based in Woodland Hills, the edge of LA, but we offer virtual appointments and free consultations. So in a consultation, we'll be able to like deep dive into what's going on. We're non-medical, so I'm more on the Eastern medicine side. But the beauty of this franchise is that it's been tested, proven since 2008. So we kind of like created Chipotle menu items tackling the most common issues that women and men are experiencing and get them reset in a short, efficient, affordable way, basically.
So what are some of the menu items for women, for example?
Our Becoming Balanced program, it's 14 weeks. And in the first 4 weeks, you typically drop 15 to 22 pounds. Yeah, no needles, no exercise, because we're finally hitting the root cause that you probably haven't done in your past life. And when we do that,
Can you share what that is? Or is that
sure
like or
thing.
is that some secret sauce? Yeah.
No, we can.
Yeah.
All right. So high stress, your cortisol goes up. Cortisol is meant to protect you. There's a tiger in the room. Let me get into run, hide, fight mode. Okay. Blood is rushing to your muscles. But with like kids, work, life, our cortisol levels rise above a normal level. And if they're consistently high, then it has an inverse relationship with progesterone.
Mhm.
So progesterone starts to go down because cortisol is so high, our adrenal glands are overworked. And progesterone, we need this to be calm and sleep and have reduced anxiety and like release fluid, reduce inflammation. So, starting from maybe like kids, women start to show symptoms of estrogen dominance. Low progesterone, high estrogen, so they're in go mode and it impacts their weight, their mood, their sleep. And then as we get into menopause, the symptoms only worsen. So the society normalizes hot flashes, night sweats. It's a normal part of menopause.
Mm.
Um, but really, it's that I mean, there are other factors, your gut, other stuff, but really, that gap between estrogen and progesterone, it's really what's causing a lot of our issues mentally, physically, weight-wise in women.
And if you don't take care of it, kind of like maybe after childbirth, it kind of snowballs and becomes a bigger problem.
Totally.
Yeah.
You see it. I mean, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I'm, like, typing my emails, and worst case, like, there is a link between too high of estrogen and low progesterone in female-related cancers, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah, so disease, so it's not even based on looks, but it's really, like, how you feel, um, yeah.
And what are some of the issues for men that Be Balanced looks to help with?
Ooh. So for men, if you could be again, high cortisol starts to have an inverse relationship with testosterone. With men, you need testosterone more than just to reproduce, but it impacts your energy and so much more. So we start to see men's testosterone go down at the age of 30 in some cases, depending on how stressed out you are. Mix that in with the estrogen in your body. So certain chemicals, toxins can mess with our estrogen levels, men and women. With men, you can probably see like extra fat in their chest area, and that is abnormal. Men have estrogen, but if it's too high, especially from xenoestrogens, that is also messing with their hormonal balance.
And it
So
affects the body and the way they look.
everything, their energy, the brain fog, like, yeah, and there's sexual health as well,
Mhm.
but so much with men, their midsection. So, yeah, men and women, if you're holding extra weight in your stomach area, especially if you're maybe over 40, experiencing a lot of stress, that's your body telling you that maybe you have a little too much cortisol, maybe some inflammation going on.
Mhm. And what's like, how would you treat that, for example? Would that be a mix of diet and exercise and prioritizing diet and sleep and exercise, or do you have some other way of dealing with that?
Yeah, it's almost all of the above.
Hmm.
So, let's educate you on how much sleep you need, how much water you need, and the right kind of foods for your gut and hormonal health. Um, let's find out what your food triggers are. Let's reduce inflammation. And then if you couple that with our professional grade supplementation to help balance your hormones, yeah, a lot of things fall into place. Plus, we want to detox you. And let's see if you have a gut issue going on, like a candida yeast overgrowth.
Hmm. Wow. It's interesting. You mentioned what foods trigger you, and I recently had a food sensitivity test, and it was like the best thing I ever did because I found it very interesting because when I'm stressed, I tend to reach for the similar kinds of food or comfort food and things like that, and I realized it's actually when I got the results of my food sensitivity test back, when I was stressed and things like that, I was actually reaching for various foods that were making the situation worse, that I was overly sensitive to, and actually, it would cause kind of indigestion or inflammation and things like that. And without knowing that, I probably would have just kept, and it just compounds how terrible you feel, and you don't even know what's going on. Like I'm really like one of the reasons why I was super excited to meet with you. Obviously, you deal probably, I'm guessing, much more with women's health than men. I'm guessing that's the majority of it. But the holistic health aspect of all of this, I feel, is so important and so misunderstood and so overlooked, especially here in the United States by the current kind of way the healthcare system is. So I feel like having these holistic approaches to cortisol and inflammation and all of this is so valuable and so important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I like to also I don't wanna create a polarity, but, like, there is a bridge, there is a gap in the medical field, and I'm just here to help fill in the gap and, like, answer any I don't know, provide insight that we may be missing. Um, so Yeah.
Where do you think the real gap is between the medical system now and the patients? Or, where what do you're saying you fill that gap, but where can you kind of define where that gap is for the audience?
Oh, I feel all good.
Like for me, from the outside looking in, I would suggest that the current medical system doesn't really care about the root causes of a lot of our illnesses or a lot of the way we feel. They just want to give us something to suppress the symptoms. So, like, if I have a headache, they'll be like, oh, just take this for your headache. But it's like, no, no, let's get to why I have a headache. Let's go to the root cause of why I have a headache. Let's see if it's dietary, exercise, external stress. Let's kind of go to that root cause instead of just taking a pharmaceutical product to 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 balance the problem for a short period of time, but actually during that I'm actually getting worse. Like that's where I feel like the medical system really lets down people here in the United States. I feel like in Europe it's a little bit more holistic. Like people, the doctors there, like I lived in Switzerland for a little while, like people there seem to be a little bit more concerned about your overall lifestyle when you went in with a symptom like a headache or a body ache or chill or something that might like lead you to think maybe you have a flu or something like that. They might kind of start working backwards to figure out how you've got to this place before they just prescribe you something to numb the pain. So I feel like that to me is like a massive gap. This kind of not always being because obviously the hospitals and stuff like that and doctors, like, they have to monetize their time, and monetizing their time means writing prescriptions a lot of not really getting to the root cause and figuring out who you are as a human being and putting you on, like, a right path. So I've always been super interested in these holistic elements of trying to understand who we are as people because all of us are totally different. Bananas could make me feel like shit for 3 days, but they might be your superfood and make you feel like you're a super mom and you can take on the world. But for me, it'll leave me in bed bloated and gassy and feeling like I have no energy. And that's just a food sensitivity thing. But if a doctor's not interested in knowing any of that, then how can they help you? I've always been confused by certain elements of that in this kind of modern medical world that we live in.
Ah, well said. Uh,
I'm just trying to just kind of, I guess, show the importance of having a holistic approach to healthcare. And then obviously what you're doing with women's health and with Be Balanced, is taking that to the next level to a patient, which, are women who are going through childbirth or going through menopause that absolutely need to, in my mind, they need something more than just a pharmaceutical product to numb the pain. So I think this is great. I'm just trying to like understand a little bit more about where that gap is and how you feel you can help.
well, I think we're both sides are results driven. And with certain medications, maybe the results can happen a little quicker. And fast relief is a priority. We all want to like get back out there. But that why is missing, or like what's going on? What led to this? What's the root cause? Um, I mean, I can tell you backstage in the healthcare field, the physicians are pressured to have a certain amount of visits a day. So there's no dedicated time to really dig in and see what's going on. Um, Also, like physicians sometimes take off their like holistic health hat when they're seeing patients in a big healthcare organization because things have to be a certain way. Okay. Also, the way it's designed is it's very like a la carte. If you have like, I don't know, a foot problem, you go to ortho. Or if you have like, I don't know, a kidney issue, go to your nephrologist versus having a more holistic approach. That does happen in the medical field, but it's only in like special cases where the different specialists come together to really discuss a case
Mhm,
and connect the dots. Otherwise, when you see a specialist, it's primarily in just that area.
mhm,
Okay. Well, for anyone talking to their physician, I mean, these are smart, brilliant people. I would just ask them, what would you do with your mom? What would you do personally? What would you do as a parent? And then that's when they start to open up about, like, all right, gut issues. I would take care of this. Otherwise, when they have their healthcare hat on and they're under, like, they're one out of like hundreds of physicians in a structured organization, you're going to get the business side of it.
yeah,
Okay. The money makers are the procedures and the medications and getting like the visits in quick in and out. In our world, um, hormone health. Oh my gosh, hormones have so much to do with it. And it is connected to like, we build a story. So I guess when a client comes in, I want to know like what happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Did you have surgery, kids? Like what is happening? What is life like now? Because having that holistic perception of like their daily life, how they're sleeping, how they're eating, what happened 10 years ago, and just looking at the full picture, now we can like really get to a solution that is impactful and can make more sense. Both men and women hormones, certain key hormones. So you have a couple dozen, but if we focus on just a few, we can already make a huge impact because those are highly impacted by your stress levels.
Mhm.
Okay. In the US, here, we're all stressed out again from like toxins, emotionally, mentally, work life balance, and it negatively impacts certain key hormones. And then, kind of in your case, you crave certain foods. That's where your body is getting more stressed out and you're not aligned. You're not balanced. When my clients get balanced, they start craving oranges and the right kind of foods for their body. So, so yeah, we got to dig in and look at your body as a whole, not just that you have like a right foot problem.
It's interesting. I've met a few doctors actually who've been on the podcast over the years, and they rang on your message that you started that with by saying that the healthcare industry is too specialized. So when you go into being a doctor and stuff like that, you're kind of pushed into being a specialist. So you're either, a foot doctor, or a back doctor, or a nose and ear doctor, or whatever, right? Throat, nose and ear, and you can sometimes miss that actually all of this stuff is connected, and actually like what's going on in your gut can affect what's going on in your feet or what's going on in your ear or whatever. Like this whole thing is way more complicated than we give it credit for, our bodies and our minds and our hormones, and the way that doctors are trained, and then the way they go out into the world and execute that training on patients is I think it's like severely flawed, because I think you can't look at just a foot and find out what's really going on. Like I feel like you need to have a really deep understanding of the whole body and how it's all connected. And that's interesting because like a lot of the holistic doctors that I've spoken to over the years, some of which have been on the podcast, have ranked that as being like the number one problem with the healthcare industry today, is that everyone's too specialized and not looking at holistic health. So it's interesting that your clinic so now like you have a private clinic that's coming up that's doing non-medical healthcare, looking at hormones and gut health and food and diet and exercise, trying to solve these important issues just so you can get people feeling good again, like which should be everyone's goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, the way we do it is actually really basic.
Yeah.
Alright. I am not like the Cadillac of functional medicine providers, but over the years, here are the XYZ of the most common issues that we can alleviate in such a short amount of time. And some clients will ask, well, how do you know if you don't do labs? Like, I have clients, go ahead, do your labs. But with certain hormones, it can be inaccurate. And if anything, I have fun with the challenge of improving symptoms, um, like a whole plethora of symptoms, because it's a harder test to pass. Like if you go to the doctor, you have like, I don't know, elbow pain, let's just work on the elbow pain. But here, we take inventory of all the client's symptoms, give them a full picture of what's going on. And then after a month or so, I'll make them retake this evaluation and their hormone imbalance score. It's based on scores, but it drops by over half. So even stuff I didn't intend to prove, like knee pain, oh my god, my knee is so much better. Like so much emanates from just fixing your gut and your hormones and reducing your stress.
So what are the main hormones that are connected with stress, and how do they negatively affect the body?
Mm.
I guess women and men might be slightly different, but let's take women for example.
So estrogen, progesterone, as I mentioned, most women are too high in estrogen. As we get into menopause, medical field or other folks will say, "Oh, you need more estrogen." But if your progesterone is not leveled out with that, then you're gonna deal with more issues. With men, we gotta boost that testosterone and lower the xenoestrogens. Um, Also, insulin is huge. So, yeah, insulin, your blood sugar levels are connected so much with your cortisol levels. And unfortunately, the roller coaster of like, we get into, again, fight or flight mode, blood sugar is going up. We eventually crash and then we go up and down, but we need that energy. So then that leads to cravings, mood swings, irritability in both men and women, and weight issues as it relates to my world. So we focus on balancing out your insulin.
Hmm. Yeah, because sugar rushes and crashes are terrible, and then that's a lot of that too is like dietary, right? Like, because if we can balance out the amounts of processed foods and sugars and artificial things that we're eating, we can avoid the crashes and have a more kind of static blood sugar level, which will allow us to be more calm and what balance out the rest of our hormones, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one example that I know, like, that I had heard previously that was connected, that connects, like, mood, hormones, gut health directly to diet.
No, it plays a huge component. Um, Sometimes though, I'll see clients eating well, but they're so stressed out, and that is impacting their, unfortunately, blood sugar levels. Um, so I think that's where the weight loss injections are coming in. Um, I'm not gonna go too deep into that, but there are certain drugs, birth control, hormone replacement therapy, and now these weight loss injections that are messing with our body's natural balance.
Mhm.
So, we're really big on supporting your body's natural ability to produce hormones and balance itself out. With like weight loss injections, it's inhibiting your body's natural ability. It's stopping certain hormones from acting and it's replacing it or it's substituting it. So, when you get off certain medications after being chemically modified for a while, your body can go into shock. And that can really cause, unfortunately, certain long term effects. Um, I like to compare it to like a hose. So you turn on the faucet and then you pinch a hose.
Mhm.
Okay, all that buildup.
We've all done that as kids. Yeah.
And then what happens when you let go? Like,
Yeah.
hose goes AWOL, goes crazy because that is what's happening with certain drugs. Um, Again, that are messing with your hormones. It's been inhibited, it's been dormant for a while, but then, oh, let's stop the drug because it could cause cancer, or you dropped all this weight. But then your body goes into shock. Oh my gosh, I haven't been producing this hormone. What do I do? Sometimes it can come back with a vengeance. And that also works with your gut as well. With certain weight loss injections, your gut is operating very slowly. And then once you stop, it can go 0 to 80, like, so quick.
It's kind of a stereotype, and I'm curious to see how you feel about this, but it's kind of a stereotype that Americans, in general, maybe aren't interested necessarily in the holistic medical approach, and they're not interested in necessarily long-term practice, uh, engaging in long-term practices to be healthier and things like that. They're very interested in just pill popping. Like, give me a pill for this, doc. And I'm too busy to eat well for the next 3 months. Like, just give me a pill to solve my problems. Do you kind of see that, or have the people who are coming to you already been through that stage and figured out it doesn't work yet?
Ooh, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Some are just fed up. Some have like tried things and they're not seeing it work after a while, or um, yeah, some are just like at it. There are a lot more people who are more open to the Eastern medicine side of things. They're scared of chemicals. Um, but the society has really normalized pill popping. Big pharma, I mean, even supplements. So we have a full line of supplements, but I don't really like jump straight there. Sometimes I'll suggest our natural hormone balancing creams. But again, like with what's been normalized? Let me pop a pill. Let me pop my B12. Let me pop my magnesium. But oh no, these hormone balancing creams, this is abnormal. It has not been normalized. I'm scared of it.
Mm.
So, yeah, culture plays a huge role, and we are very dependent on that little pill.
It's crazy actually, 'cause, ever since I started putting this podcast on YouTube and things like that, I've been watching more and more YouTube, as probably the rest of the world has too. But it's amazing, like, living in the United States, the amount of pharmaceutical ads that you get. I know they're on TV as well, but I don't really watch, like, linear television anymore. Like, I don't watch broadcast TV. I watch the streaming platforms, and for the most part, they're advertising free. But if you watch YouTube and you don't have, like, a premium subscription, it's crazy how many, pharmaceutical ads that you get, and I know right now, actually, there's a bit of a debate going on with the current administration about maybe removing these advertisements, from general view, and then maybe putting more trust then in the doctors, because you see all these people, they're watching all these advertisements, and then they go to their doctor, and they say, "Hey, write me a prescription for this." But the doctor doesn't really know maybe what the drug actually is, or what the patient background is as well. Like, it seems totally problematic if patients are going to the doctors being like, "I need that. I saw it on TV." And instead of and again, and having that be their solution to problems, instead of trying to find a holistic approach, balancing their hormones, managing their blood sugar levels, managing their stress, sleeping, exercise, like all these things that we're taught, can help us live a longer, healthier, more productive life. And kind of just skipping the line because you saw something on television. That seems completely crazy to me.
I totally agree. There was a day, like, I went to my father-in-law's house, and I couldn't believe how many commercials there were on, like, drugs, and they were the same one, B-roll of someone living their life, throwing a football in the park.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I also think it's wild. And then, you know, research is an interesting word, these days with all the information overload, like, people are bombarded with information, and Big Pharma is great with marketing.
And a lot of the research is being paid for by big pharma, which doesn't make any sense either. This podcast is probably going to be demonetized at some stage because of all this. Like, if you start mentioning COVID too much, and again, this is probably, but it'll still go up and people will still watch it. But it's true, right? Like, the research that we're getting is skewed, and the advertising makes everything look like it's going to be okay. And then instead of taking care of everything that needs to get care of, you just keep living your life as normal and popping pills, expecting everything to change, and it doesn't.
Man, Ryan, this is probably the most uncomfortable podcast but
Really?
that's so true, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, just for an example, like, you're a new you're a new mom. You just had a birth. You've given life. Like, what kind of pills or pharmaceutical products would you be available to receive to help you feel better about the childbirth experience? Like, what kind of? I mean, I'm just curious. Like, are you bombarded with pharmaceuticals after childbirth, or are you just expected to get through your postpartum depression, get through, the stress physically and mentally of giving birth? Are you just expected to get through all of that on your own?
Kind of, yeah. Um, I mean, more and more therapy, but it's just like, "Oh, go to therapy." And breastfeeding. Life is just all about breastfeeding. So it's less about big pharma and more like, "Oh, like, let's feed, like, 3 times a day and go back to work, so pump." So pump, 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 pump.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's this thing of, like, what is this stigma about breastfeeding? So there's the American community out there says breastfeeding is healthier than bottle feeding, or using formulas.
Yeah, so breast is best, and you're pressured to have your baby, like, have as much breast milk, like, shoot for 100%. That
Mm.
means, like, no bottle, no formula, and shoot for at least 2 years of, like, pure breastfeeding, and let's have you go back to work full time after 3 months. So carry this pump with you while you're stressed out, your newborn's at home, and you're crying, and you gotta pump and make milk so they survive. But God forbid you bring in some formula and maybe go like 80-20 or 50-50. The pressure of like 100% on breast is insane.
That sounds miserable. 3 months of leave, and then you have to like go back to work while your newborn baby is still craving breast milk, and you're doing 9 to 5. Like that's absolutely miserable.
Oh, and those are my breaks. It's not like I could have extra time to, like, pump, but, like, oh, no, like, during your lunch break, you gotta, like, pump and eat, and go back to work, so
And is that just like social stigma, or is that like scientifically proven that actually breast milk is the best thing for newborns?
it's both,
Yeah.
which I get, we all strive for that, but at what cost? If it's killing you and you're so depressed and you're so out of it as a mom and stressed out, wouldn't it be better if you maybe, like, breastfed half the time or switched to formula and, like, felt like yourself again, and maybe your kid would have a happier, healthier mom, and you wouldn't be waking up every 3 to 4 hours while going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Like you're bringing up a lot of new points of information for me specifically, but these are probably out there in the mother sphere of newborns and things like that. But it makes no sense that there's not more care and attention given to like the mother's mental and physical health after childbirth. Because again, if a mother is not happy and healthy, then the whole family unit falls apart.
Yeah. So that's what makes my job fun. I love becoming useless. I love when I get my mom's, my grandmother's back on track and I'm like, all right, how are you feeling? Gut, sleep, mood, poop, all of the above. They're like, fine.
Mm,
Like, okay, what else can we talk about? So that is the goal, to get them rebalanced, have them showing up better, and yeah, just seeing like all this improvement.
hmm And has it been like a super positive journey for you over the last few years since you started this Be Balanced? Like you've seen this gap in where the healthcare is being fulfilled through your clinic, through your program?
Ooh, it's been a wild ride, I'll say. Definitely a lot of rewarding moments because I have so many wonderful clients, case studies who, yeah, are just feeling like themselves again. So that's beautiful to watch. But I did get pregnant from my own products. So I do have a 1-year old,
Mhm.
and, having a business and 2 little ones, it's not always the easiest.
No,
Yeah.
that's a lot of stress.
Well, I got my drugs at work, so
And how I mean, how have you managed it? Like having a second child now and having to be an entrepreneur as well. I think that'd be very difficult because I think a lot of people think like entrepreneurs, oh, it's easier because you can choose the time of days you work and blah blah blah. But actually, when the buck stops with you, that's the most stressful situation on the planet. Like, and to have two young children as well, that's got to be incredibly difficult.
yeah, for sure. Again, like, the ugly truths, you don't really learn it until, like, you're in it and you've committed. I got my MBA and no one said, like, opening up a business was always glorified. Like, we got speakers and folks who, "Oh, I did this and this happened," but you don't really know the challenges. So mixing that in with, like, giving birth, then breastfeeding again, and managing all that, yeah, no, it's been tough, but, uh, help. I cash in my help card.
Mm.
I do. Um, and now that I know what I know about the importance of having that chemical balance, um, it's helped me tremendously. I cannot imagine being where I'm at and feeling like crap.
Yeah, but so many people feel like crap every day.
I can't tell you how many people I meet with a smile on their face, and then we start unearthing their issues, and there's so much under the surface. When you pop that hood, there's a lot going on, but a lot of people, women, are hiding it. They're putting that happy face together and tolerating, like, their BS symptoms.
I really think this might be a bit of a tangent, but I'll go this way and I'll see if we come back or not. But maybe you'll come with me on this. But I really feel like society completely fucking lies. Society, the media, entertainment, everything just completely lies to men and women about the challenges that life sets out for us, right? So, for example, with women, I feel like they don't the truth about childbirth, the truth about being on the female entrepreneurs with children or female executives with children, just having to have a career and raise children at the same time is so challenging, and I just feel like that is so glossed over. I mean, coming at it from a male perspective might not be the best angle, but I'm just curious if you also feel like that too, where, growing up in your late teens and your 20s, if you felt like that whole process was kind of misrepresented to you, and that now you're kind of going through it and being like, "Oh, I wish someone told me how hard this actually is to do," or whether you feel like, actually, no, everyone was honest, right from day one.
Hmm. Maybe some are honest from day one, like my mom said, "All men are dogs." But there was no explanation, there was no context. No. Ugh, oh my gosh, looking back at those years, you're really making me think. Yeah, so much gap, so much opportunity for additional wisdom, guidance, facing like the ugly truth in a way that is important. Like I was joking with my husband, I'm gonna tell my kids to not have kids, live their lives. And he's like, no, like you're gonna make them feel bad. But there is a way. I truly believe in communication and that again, it goes back to injustice. I something strike a nerve with me and it's important that people have the right information,
Hmm.
especially ahead of time. Let's know like what to expect. Let's manage expectations. Let's be honest about it. We don't have to hurt feelings. Um, there's a gray zone. So a lot of, opinionated folks out there. I am all about finding that win and bridging that gap. There is a gray zone. You can believe what you want, take your medications, whatever, but there is room to still improve things for you.
Hmm. It'd be interesting if, because obviously we live in a world with 8 billion people. And it's interesting, like, if everyone was really open about the challenges of childbirth and the challenges of being a single mother or part of a family unit and also raising kids at the same time, how difficult that is, especially in today's world where everything's so much more expensive and both parents have to work pretty much across the board now just to get by. I'm wondering like if that was actually brutally explained to you when you were 16 or 18 or 20, if that would nudge the population, to grow or to decline if we had more information when we were younger. And this goes across the board to like learning how to manage your finances, learning how to balance and live on a budget, learning how credit cards are predatory, learning how mortgages aren't always the exactly how they look, and floating interest rates and all these things that you don't learn until you actually buy a home or default on a credit card debt or whatever, right? Like there's so many things that we're not kind of told how difficult things that we're not told about how difficult they're going to be when we kind of grow up. And I'm just, yeah, it's surprising to me that more people aren't more open about the challenges that lie ahead.
I mean, I think they're more open about it now, especially on Reddit. um, yeah, compared to way back when. Well, you have like society, cultural, religious pressures as well. Look happy, be happy, get this. There's comparison is the thief of joy, but we all compare in our community groups. Um, but I think if you did get certain pieces of information at a young kid, it c could have an impact. Coincidentally, I did read about an actress who got her tubes tied in her 20s, and she's, like, 70, 80 right now. Um, she was in the Gilmore Girls, and she never had kids, and her mom told her at 7, "Do not have kids because you're gonna lose your freedom."
Mm,
So, yeah, 50s, 60s, hearing that shaped her future because she knew she wanted to be in Broadway and keep her freedom.
wow. Yeah, it's I think kind of more and more people are leaning in that direction these days. They're postponing having children until they're later, they're older or they've kind of more established in their career where they feel like they can take the time off. And obviously with healthcare advances and the quality of just the quality of medicine and having birth at a later age is possible now and it wasn't maybe 30, 50 years ago, so people are doing that, and then a huge portion of people just aren't having kids at all because of the cost and the cost on personal time and quality of life and the financial implications as well. Like it's cost millions of dollars to raise children if you want to send them to school and all of the rest.
Yep.
That's a lot of stress to deal with as a mom while you're trying to get your body back, while you're trying to balance your hormones, while you're trying to sleep, while you're trying to pump breast milk, while you're trying to do all this, and then there's no one around to support you through that whole process, really.
Yeah. And keeping your marriage. Ah, and looks,
Mhm.
image is a lot, accounts for a lot. Luckily, there is progress. Birth rates have declined over the years. So, the needle is moving. I went to Vegas with like 9 other girlfriends. So 40%, no kids.
Mhm.
Kind of big.
Yeah, that's a significant amount, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when women come to your clinic, like how much of the problems they come to you with or the symptoms they come to you with are driven by what is perceived to be like societal norms versus what is actual like biological problems. Like I'm just curious, like if a woman comes to your clinic and says I have hormone imbalance or I just feel terrible from top to bottom, how much of that is actually like a biological issue that is dealt with that is created because of a non-societal issue, like maybe they have a natural imbalance in a hormone, or maybe they're going through something physically that you can't see on the outside, or whether they're going through stress that society puts on them to be perfect, to look better, to keep their job, to keep their husband, like to do all these things. Like I'm just curious, like where you see the societal stress versus actual like biological illness or biological suffering.
So societal stress leads to a lot of that biological suffering. And I think the social, society pressures play a big role in the high tolerance of those symptoms and problems,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Or there's a band-aid here and there. I have like my pain med. Um, but the perception, one, a lot of these the pr- the societal perception is typically unrelated to stress. Stress, like, oh, I just need a therapist or I just need sleep. But the connection is not really there. And ah, and then when it comes to female symptoms, again, there's no connection with stress, and it's a normal part of aging. That is the part that pisses me off the most. I've had clients where their doctors tell them, "Oh, your labs are normal. You're fine. It's all in your head," or um, or let's get you on a medication, but it's only going to fix XYZ issue. And let's not talk about the side effects that come with that,
Mhm.
um, or the cancer risk or other stuff that pops up.
So how much of your job is just telling your patients like this is a natural process for the body to go through, and we just have to kind of manage this natural process to the best of our abilities instead of suggesting that it's some kind of like external factor.
Mm, okay, external factors. Mm, I don't know. I hate accepting things as is. I'm not big on like managing
Mhm.
symptoms. Like, let's do something about it. Environmental factors, they're gonna be there. So we work on, like, acceptance, and we work on, like, a mindset shift, and what can we do about it? Especially as women, we need to have control over over our lives and maybe our health. So let's find our win. Our win is, like, let's get a little bit of control over your body because your sister's still gonna hate you, your work is still gonna be there, but if I can help you with your stress, like, a little bit from a chemical standpoint, from, like, a little shift from like a 5 minute self-care thing, then let's do it. Let's move the needle.
Yeah. That's interesting actually that you brought that up. Like you can't control everything else around you, but you can control yourself. So if you focus on your own physical and mental health, then that's the easiest win maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, my therapist will say like control is a perception, but I love giving away sense of control. Like it's needed and it's there. Like let's do something about it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. I don't know. What you said irked me about like, "Oh, like, let's manage these symptoms naturally." Like, no, let's do something. Let's shake things up. You deserve it. Your body has been, like, showing signals for years,
Mhm.
and sometimes I'll draw the timeline for them.
I think what I meant about dealing with things naturally, or letting a natural course play out, is maybe like something like menopause or something where like all women go through it at various times, like around the same time, but it differs, right? And they all go through it no matter what. And the symptoms are there, and you kind of just have to manage that natural process. And there's hacks and ways you can make it better and things like that. And there's, treatments that you can do to help kind of reduce some of the symptoms, but you can't stop it. That's kind of what I meant about, like, dealing with something that's kind of natural. Whereas,
Yeah.
stress related gut health, or something like that, is is not something you have to go through. You could actually take positive steps to alleviate that, um, through diet and sleep and all these other things. So that's kind of the differentiation I was trying to make.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So one thing that pops up with menopause, I think the American perception is like, oh, it's a struggling time. You're going to deal with a lot of like negative symptoms that pop up. But there are other societies where women cruise through menopause. It's actually a revered phase in their lives because now they're in this new phase and they're cruising through it. They're not having hot flashes, night sweats, brain fog, all the other symptoms. So menopause in other societies can be like a happy time. Um, so yeah, you already as a guy, it sounds like your perception of menopause is a little negative.
Yeah, because I'm just pulling from experiences, or situations that I've seen in entertainment, or through the media, right? And I guess that we're just getting an incorrect view of that process. Like what societies are women breezing through menopause? Like, is it Europe? Is it Asia? What are they doing differently that American women aren't, for example?
Well, again, like with some of those Asian cultures, the women are healing after pregnancy. So that major life stressor, they're already ahead of it then. Um, and then
Sorry, just to interrupt. So, by healing afterwards, you mean like taking more time off, and focusing more on yourself? Like, because I know in Asia, for example, like some women get a whole year off. In Europe, I think a year is quite common. They have a little bit of a better system around that. So obviously 3 months in North America seems ridiculously short. So is that what you mean by like the healing process after pregnancy?
yeah,
Yeah.
not having to work and being bedridden for a month in some cases. So other people are expected to care for your newborn. So you're not doing anything. In extreme cases, you can't even shower. Like
Yeah.
you're just supposed to lay there and do nothing.
In China, that's very common. I lived in China for 18 years, yeah, some women that have gone through childbirth and stuff, they still do that today.
Yeah. There are hotels for it or homes for it. So by getting ahead of that major life stressor, you're already in a better position. And then, yeah, going into menopause, I mean, there are other practices, herbs that are more commonly used in other societies. I think the women are also less stressed, less processed foods. I mean, maybe the foods are better quality. And yeah, just other practices around it. Weight management as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the quality of food and the time to allow yourself to heal seem to be like two kind of overarching issues that have a lot to deal with women's health that Americans just don't seem to get.
Yeah. What was it? I had a client say like, "Oh, I have a gluten allergy when I'm here, but I can eat gluten in Europe."
That doesn't make any sense. It's like bread. I mean, it's funny, like you have a pizza here in the United States, you order a pizza and you're paralyzed for like 4 hours after you eat a pizza. Whereas in Europe, you can have a pizza for lunch and a couple of glasses of wine and then go back to work and have a productive day. It's just, the food here is really that's the biggest thing I've learned actually since I've living all around the world and then coming here, is just how completely toxic the food system is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's where we come in, fill in the gaps a little.
yeah. So, I mean, do you see yourself kind of pursuing this kind of work, indefinitely? Like, are you? obviously you kind of came into it through your own child rearing, and you wanted to help people going through what you were going through. Do you see yourself kind of doing this for the next 20 years? Do you kind of, you're happy with this space, this gap in the medical system that you kind of are providing a solution for, or is this kind of something that you just are passionate about now that you're kind of going through your own, early child years?
God willing, no, I think this is it for me. Like, I wanna continue disrupting the norm.
Mhm.
And yeah, women and men, like, who are ready and down for, like, a transformational change, let's shock your body in a good way, of course, but, yeah, the rewarding feels, I mean, I can't tell you how good it feels to just see a woman go from, like, having gut issues for 20 years to now she's like, "Mm, I'm fine."
It's something that everyone should have access to.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not even difficult.
Mhm.
It's not like other providers, thousands. I've heard crazy stories of clients paying thousands of dollars elsewhere, and yeah, no. Again, I think what's unique about us versus like other functional medicine providers is that we have a couple dozen locations. This is like the Chipotle version. It's tested, proven. And that's what makes it affordable as well. Cause, like, all right, it's a straight shot. You're not an experiment here, and it's efficient.
Yeah. And you're doing the same program that the, men and women in Pennsylvania are doing, for example, because I think you mentioned the headquarters is there, right? Or the first clinic
Yeah.
was there, yeah. Yeah, so that, I mean, that should give people a lot of comfort and security around, like, trying to figure out how to be healthier by going to, like, a proven program.
Yeah, you would think, but when it comes to, like, hormones, it can be a scary place, like, it's newish, "Oh, I don't want someone messing with my hormones," so that's understandable, and then weight is an intimate area. It can be tied to your identity, especially as a woman, so it's hard to sometimes find out, like, who to trust with that.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people might not know, like, how hormonal imbalances affect weight gain. And it's even more significant in some cases than diet. And it's just like when your body is constantly under stress, doesn't matter what you're eating, you will gain weight and feel terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a sad norm, but moving the needle.
that's great. That's great. Well, is there anything that you wanted to bring up specifically that we haven't touched on yet?
No, but I have a free gift. Clients can or folks can go to bebalancednow.com
Mhm.
and take a free little short hormonal quiz. But that already will give you insight on which of your hormones could be imbalanced.
Okay.
That way you can know like where to start to look.
That's great. And I'll put that link kind of in the descriptions for the podcast as well, and that people can kind of click on that and do a little self-test before they reach out. I think it's great because, like, so much of the understanding of how our bodies work is not something we own. Like, it's not the information that we own and can understand and can process. And again, like, most people will just go to see a doctor or go to a hospital if they're feeling bad. And I think that, these stopgaps, like where you're trying to play an important role, I think are going to become exponentially more important as we move forward. And I think like also with like health trackers and things like that, where people can see spikes in insulin, where they can see spikes in heart rates and, heart variability and resting heart rate and things like that. And they can understand, like, when they're stressed, when they're under high stress, how their diet's affecting them. This can hopefully give people more ownership over their own health instead of just, relying on medical professionals to be the be all and end all. I think it needs to be like a little bit more of a give and take.
Yeah. And I love that it's moving in that direction.
Mhm.
The education here is power. Again, it adds to that sense of control. You live in your body 24/7. So knowing what's going on, like, it's really the value that women, men are getting and they're really like shifting the trajectory of their health, really. Like,
Yeah.
So much is happening.
I think it's, like, it's interesting, but I was thinking the other day, like, why aren't we like, why isn't the government, like, subsidizing health trackers and giving them to, teenagers? Like, wouldn't it be great for people who are, like, 13, 14, 15 to start understanding sleep patterns, digestion patterns, resting heart rate, the value of exercise, the value of steps. Like, I know, like, if I don't exercise for a whole week, like, the quality of my sleep starts to get worse. Or if I eat too late at night, my body's processing food at night, and then I don't get the quality sleep that I need, and that can affect my stress levels, my cortisone levels the next day. Like, it's all so connected, and it just feels like this kind of information now is what we need to feed young people so that when they're 30 or 40 and going through a pregnancy or going through a high stress work environment, like, they have a better understanding of the warning signs where they need to start taking control and having more like, just actually putting solutions into place for living healthier.
Oh my gosh, that would be a game changer. Imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Ah, yeah. The importance of, yeah, inner health, well-being, getting outside. Oh, wow. I would pay for my kids to take that course.
It'd be great. I like the, and again, like, that's what makes me think sometimes, like, there's a whole system built around keeping us ignorant and keeping us unaware and keeping us reliant on a medical system that's not really solving enough of our issues, and it's that ignorance that plays into us living an unhealthy life. And I think that that's I don't know, somehow that, like, feeds into the economic gain of the system that we kind of live in. And maybe that's a little conspiracy theorist of me, but I feel like just more education at a younger level about what we know now would be hugely helpful. And again, again, like, the challenges of childbirth and raising children and having a family and maintaining a job. Like, I just don't think enough people talk about it.
I agree. And I mean, with all of what you mentioned, just knowing both sides, we can like still get the good side of things. Yes, this is a good goal to have. Let's be aspirational. If you want to have kids, like go for it. But here's also like the ugly truth or the reality of it.
Mhm.
So just knowing both sides. And I think that's kind of closer to my standpoint when it comes to the medical field. Um, there are so many well-intended people out there and a lot of things that do work, but let's learn more about a different approach or something else that could be missing that we don't know about. And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing,
Mhm.
Let's just learn a little bit about both sides so that we can make a better informed decision.
You mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that Be Balanced didn't have a clinic in Los Angeles before you started your clinic, and I was just curious why. Because LA is a major metropolitan area, there's, millions and millions of people who live here. I'm just curious if there were other providers or private consultants that were kind of soaking up the marketplace, or I'm just curious, like, why that didn't exist already, because I feel like this is such a big city and people need this kind of education and care. Like, why I'm curious why it took so long for Be Balanced to come out here before you started your clinic.
It seems to be the pattern with a lot of franchises that like centers open more quickly around the flagship area. I mean, I think there are over a dozen in Pennsylvania alone.
Mhm.
Um, Marketing and branding. Maybe we don't have the resources of big pharma with all the commercials. But yeah, I think there are other providers here that do similar work, just not what we provide. But there is another one in Pismo Beach, so that one opened before me, and a new one is opening up in Long Beach. So they're getting infected here.
That's great. That's great. I think just anything that gives people more information and more power to regulate themselves, I think is the key, right? Just self-regulation, the ability to understand what's going on with our own bodies and make our own little adjustments is crucial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
had a client email like, I don't want to lose weight, I just want to feel better. And I think that's what like my generation, the women born in the 80s, like more of them are coming in. they're wanting to get ahead of their perimenopausal issues and, yeah, restore their body from, like, IVF and all these other things.
Yeah. Do you deal with, do you offer, like, a service where you deal with women who are going through a pregnancy before childbirth and how to kinda understand the changes that their bodies go through, and then what happens at childbirth, and then how to deal with that afterwards? Because like, the story that you kind of laid out was quite traumatic, and it was quite difficult, it seemed like, for you. I'm just wondering if there's, like, if there's pregnant women out there listening to this, like, if you guys offer kind of like a consulted or guidance approach to childbirth, because that seems to be, if done incorrectly or not managed correctly, that seems to be like the first step in what can lead to a lot more health issues if you don't take enough time to recover, if you don't prioritize the mother's health, mental and physical. Like, that seems to be the beginning of the snowball that just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in terms of the business, our products are more so we can't really work with women who are currently breastfeeding or pregnant. A lot is going on hormonally. Let's let nature run its course. And there are other specialists out there who focus on pregnancy and breastfeeding. Um, where we come in, we're more about like when you're done with breastfeeding, all right, now's the time to like restore it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm happy to be like an open book and talk about the pregnancy piece. A lot of our clients do end up getting pregnant.
Mhm.
So I wasn't the only one. There's something about balancing hormones and fertility.
Yeah. It's wild. The human body is amazing and terrifying all at the same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. I think again, like I just want to like clear the air. I respect physicians, all those years of like work, and studying education. I'm not gonna pretend to be, a doctor, but yeah, some areas are not emphasized and they really need to be.
Mhm.
Um, oh, well, you lived in China. I think there was a study that just within the past couple decades where someone discovered this organ that goes through your whole body. And then someone from Chinese medicine was like, yeah, that's qi. We've known about this for thousands of years.
Right?
Um, yeah, but that study was like, oh, it's a brand new organ that we didn't know existed that connected the whole body.
Yeah. I tell you, I mean, it's surprising that people don't talk more given how much information is available. And that's the thing that I think I'm most excited about is the quality of the health trackers, the quality of, AI, to be honest. Like, you can type in, like, I have a cough and a headache and a full body ache, and my temperature is up by 1 degree or whatever, and you can type that in and you can get a list of potential ideas. In other years, you would have had to go to a and wait and in a emergency room because you feel like shit, and then you probably would get sick by being in the emergency room if you weren't already sick because you're surrounded by sick people. Like, going to hospitals is where you go to get sick sometimes, as well as go to get healthy. I mean, it's not always the best solution to go to a hospital. So now I feel like there's so much information that we can get about what's going on with ourselves before we have to engage with a medical professional. And whether that delays something that needs to be done urgently or not, I'm not 100% sure. But I just feel like somehow empowering us a little bit more to understand what's going on with our body has to be part of, like, the winning solution.
Yeah. But that's where big pharma comes in with the commercials, right?
Yeah.
So, "Hey, I wanna get on this medication." Yeah. So, being able to decipher and know more, I don't know. It's a little tough, but yeah, love where you're getting at.
I think like our generation, so I was born in the late 70s. You said you were an 80s baby. Like, I feel like our parents' generation, who were born in like the 40s, 50s, I feel like they had a greater level of trust in doctors, in lawyers, in professionals in general, accountants and things like that. And I feel like for 30 or 40 years that trust kind of kept society moving forward really nicely. And then I feel like this, like, Gordon Gekko, Wall Street, Michael Douglas, greed is good, that we all lived with in the 80s somehow kind of like turned that trust on its head. And I feel like now, like our generation specifically is trying to deal with the fact that it's really hard to trust people. And even the professional people around us can have ulterior motives or incentives from third parties that we're not aware of that will affect the way that they communicate with us or guide us through a certain part of our lives, whether it be healthcare, whether it be legal, whether it be educational. And I just feel like that is so, we're just going down like a terribly wrong path. And I just like the fact that people out there are trying to do, especially in the healthcare space, like just trying to do a more holistic approach to figuring out like what's going on with people, spending more time with people, looking at the variety of issues that people have to deal with on a daily basis and not and getting away from like this kind of like one pill fits all mentality, which I think is just totally destructive.
Ugh. Yeah, before working with any client, my team and I spend like an hour with them to really get to know them. And then with that, I actually encourage them to follow their femtuition or their intuition.
Mhm,
A lot of info out there. I could work hard to compete, or like, what is your gut telling you after like what we just talked about?
mhm.
My goal is to like put the pieces together, have things make more sense. But yeah, if you're spiritual, if you have like whatever you believe in, I think I don't know, your intuition can play a big role
Yeah.
in the direction you move.
Yeah, because I think your body will give you hints along the way whether you're going in the right direction or not, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially us women.
How many clients do you see that come in where you're just like, "Whoa, you need to get off social media." Like whatever you're scrolling through every day is ruining your mind, like men and women. Like because I see this a lot where people will see things on social media and then they'll start judging themselves, and it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional, it can be rigged to salary, job, finances, all of this stuff that is wrapped up to this whole idea of comparison and this whole idea of like, oh, I just gave birth to a child and I don't feel as good as this person does on Instagram, or hey, I've been working for 20 years at this company and I'm still at this salary level and this guy already owns 4 houses and 3 cars and whatever. Like, do you come across people like that that are just kind of perpetuating their own illness by social media and what's available out in society? I'm wondering if that plays a role in what you see on a daily basis.
Hmm. It does in the sense of trust where I'm trying to like lead them to water. Like, let's coach you. Like, give me a little bit of trust. You don't have to believe 100%, but we got to follow like this route that's been paved for you.
Mhm.
But with the information overload, sometimes clients will bring in like other variables into the mix. Or I read this and it's like, let's give this a fair shot. There have been like 100,000 of people ahead of you who like paved the way. Like, I'm here for you. But I think with information overload, it can contribute to fear, distrust, and yeah, I think that's what I try to combat sometimes.
Yeah. Because they were saying like people who scroll on the internet constantly or argue with people on the internet constantly have a higher cortisol level, right? Which can affect weight gain and stress and reduce sleep and have spikes in insulin and all these kinds of things. So like what we see and how we consume things and how we consume information, maybe about what we're going through or that comparison element really does have a physical effect on us.
Oh my gosh, even just that screen alone. You're going into the messages, but, like, just by looking at the screen, especially before you sleep, when you're supposed to wind down, no screens, like, an hour before sleeping, that is already, like, spiking up your blood sugar, cortisol before you sleep when it's supposed to go down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's wild out there, isn't it?
Ah, it really is. Most recent thing I've been encouraging my clients, women, to do is find their sanctuary in their cars.
Okay, that's interesting. Walk me through that.
Okay. So meditation, an easy form meditation, is part of our homework. So, oh, I don't have time when I'm home. I gotta clean. I don't have time at work. But like in your car, 5 minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. You don't have to clean the house. You're not at your desk. This is and kids are not in the car, like, find that quiet time. And, with a lot of women, it can be their most relaxing, soothing time.
Time in the car, in traffic, in LA. That just goes to show you how stressful these people's lives are. When being in a car in Los Angeles on a freeway or in a parking lot a block away from work or on a street, a block away from home where you have to just stop the car and take 5 minutes of alone time because work life and home life is so stressful that that's the only s chance you have to just be alone.
Yeah, and, if they're scrolling on their phone before bedtime, like that chamber where it's supposed to be calm and quiet, that's also not a relaxing time. That's their to-do time. So they have a to-do list everywhere they look.
Yeah, that can't be healthy.
Oh, the mental overload. I have some women where they just end up like getting used to it. Like their kids are out of the house, college, but there's been so many years of like worry and it's like they're okay. This is you time.
Yeah. It's gotta be hard, I think, for some people to get used to that, like, after giving so much of themselves away for so many decades in some cases, to then be able to, like, reprogram your mind and body to prioritize your own mental and physical health after giving away everything, like, to your children or to your spouse or whatever, and the having to, like, refocus on yourself must be incredibly challenging, I think, for some people.
Oh my gosh, that shift. Actually, that's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
That, yeah, it is. That is probably the most common theme that I see with women.
Really?
Yeah, you give, give, give. It's about everyone else. My kid is a priority. They'll throw down, like, they'll pay for all the sports stuff. Oh, my kid is going to college. And it's like, when does like taking care of you become like the time?
Mm,
Some women, it's just they're fed up, they're done. Or like the kids are finally in school. Like, now I can do it.
yeah. And just to throw this out there, like what you see on social media and what you see in society and things like that, they're always kind of pushing this idea like you can find balance in your life, like you can have the perfect balance, you can exercise, have a supportive spouse, raise children, have a meaningful work and workspace, do all of that. Like it's just balance, and you can do it. Like I think that's all bullshit. There's no balance. Like when you talk about raising a family and raising children, like, there's no balance. You're just running from one thing to the another. Because I was a kid and my parents were crazy busy. My brother and I both played sports at a high level. They were running around. They had both jobs on their own, and we were training in the mornings. We were training after school. Like, it was absolute chaos. And this was before Uber and all this technology that exists that makes things that maybe at least the transport element a little bit easier. But I just think this whole idea of pushing balance is terrible and probably also causes a lot of stress in people's lives.
So in a way, I think one, I think it is possible. But two, if you describe or define balance as a definite like thing, then it's almost impossible. But if you look at balance as more of like something progressive,
Mm,
like we're not shooting for perfection here, we're shooting for progress
mm,
and finding balance in, not like 10 hours a day, but like if you can find like I don't know, 5 moments of like 30 minutes times of balance, like 30 minutes of dedicated playtime with your kid or 10 minutes of meditation. These things add up. And depending on the way that you perceive it, that could be you checking that box of balancing it all out.
mm.
So it really depends on how you look at it. And if you can lean into and embrace like progress, that you're always a work in progress, that nothing is going to be perfect, then I think it's a lot more achievable to find that quote unquote balance.
That's a really nice way to describe it. Yeah, balance as a progressive momentum instead of an end goal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I hate end goals. I hate, again, like this is the injustice. I worked for a company, an eating disorder company, where they had everyone do an Enneagram. And I was like the eight, the one who was like for justice.
sorry. What's an enneagram?
Oh, it's like one of those personality tests. So they had everyone in the organization do it. That way you know how to resolve conflicts or how to be productive with that person because the way they view and communicate is gonna be different than another person.
Mhm.
So so yeah, you keep hitting, like, these nerves with me, and it's like if someone says, like, "That's just the way it is," or "You can never do this," and it's like, "Wait a minute, let's see how we can.
Mhm.
We're gonna move the needle. If this is what you want, we're gonna shoot for that."
Yeah. It's nice. It sounds great. I mean, like, it sounds like you're giving people the time and the platform to really explain what's going on, and for you guys to actually try to understand what's going on in a patient instead of just prescribing them some pills and moving on to the next patient.
Sometimes I can do it too much, like,
Yeah.
where I nerd out too much, and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," like,
Mhm.
pump the brakes. Like, if they have a history of breast cancer, I'll share with them, like, how you can reduce risk, and this is the easiest way. Or if your mom had ovarian cancer, done, you're good by doing XYZ. Not even worried about you getting it.
Wow. Amazing. Well, look, I thank you so much for coming by the podcast and laying all that out for me, and yeah, especially being so open and honest about your own journey. But if there's anyone out there listening who wants to find your clinic, Be Balanced, where can they go to find it?
I mean, physically, we're in Woodland Hills, but, just take our little quiz, bebalancednow.com. I'll connect with you directly. You'll get a personal email from me, and we can just go from there.
Amazing. Well, look, thank you so much for coming by the podcast today and sharing all of that. And yeah, no, I think you're a pioneer in bridging this gap that I think is, up until about maybe 5 or 6 years ago was probably growing bigger, and now I think, because of people like yourself, it's probably getting a little bit smaller. People are getting a little bit more aware of the benefits of holistic approaches to their healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me and extracting all the uncomfortable stuff. No, this was really fun. I really appreciate being here.
No worries. And now we just go up here so people can see we're in the same room because we don't do Zoom chats. So wonderful to meet you. And yeah, keep up with all the great work.
Yeah.
Thank, thank you.